for sure.
Until the rest well in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inside Your Screen podcast. It's a different voice. It's not me. It is me, but it's not Tony. Tony, our usual host, is on the other side this time. He's being questioned, and the reason being is because this is a really mini bite-sized podcast for Inside Your Screen about one really important gaming subject that Tony is the expert on. Tony, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say one word, and I want you to reply with just one other word. And the word I'm going to say is Cyberpunk.
Bugs. So many bugs.
Perfect. I think anyone who's listening to this and who has probably seen the name of the video and the name of the podcast will know what we're about to get into. Tony has been waiting for Cyberpunk since it was announced. He's been buzzed. He was one of you guys out there, I'm sure, who was really buzzing for this game. He bought it on the day it came out, and he's still got it today, and he played it today. And the reason we're bringing it up today is there was a patch today, the biggest patch since the release. I'm not going to go into it. You know what happened. They released it and it was shit. It didn't work on all the lower platforms, PlayStation 4, Xbox. You needed a really high-spec PC or a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox X, and even on them, they weren't working great. But the way we're going to approach this is I'm going to, because I'm not interested in Cyberpunk. I can't play first person. So two major questions. How good was Cyberpunk pre-January patch and post-January patch? Tony, it's weird being on the other side and being the kind of guy asking the questions, but Tony, just summarize let's go straight to the start. Day one, Cyberpunk, go.
Well, firstly, Brendan, thanks for having me on your show. I feel nervous. All right. Everyone knows that whoever bought Cyberpunk from day one launch has been having problems. Unless you have like a state-of-the-art PC, top rig thing. I have a PS4 Pro. And I imagine the kind of footage that I'll be displaying now is the hour that I've spent post patch 1.1, where you'll be able to see there are glitches, there's still bugs.
I'll lay it out. Explain everything.
Got your back, Jefferson, not to worry.
Great. We'll see you here then. Remember where?
Of course. Be there in no time.
Listen.
How bad are the glitches? Like bad? I've seen footage that looks like it looks like a PlayStation 2.
Okay, I'm going to take you from my pre like patch anything like day release. I bought Cyberpunk. I downloaded Cyberpunk, and I could play it for like 3 or 4 hours, and then it would crash. The actual game would just crash completely.
How did it look?
Not great. Not as the way that I thought it would be, as the way that we were duped into thinking that it would be. But once again, this is another thing that has been widely perceived across the way, like the E3 demo from like, what was it, last year or the year before to now. Yeah, I mean...
Look bad. How was the gameplay?
The gameplay it's a generic shooter. Like, the whole Night City is smoke and mirrors, let's be honest. Let hardcore fans, I don't care what you say. Night Night City is just smoke and mirrors. It's a sandbox, but not. We were promised things that we didn't come to fruition.
Is there
and-
anything for you that you were really looking forward to that isn't in there? Like anything specific or just in general?
It was I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people have been let down with the kind of promise of what we were, what was originally designed, i.e. you'd be walking out in the streets and there'd be like 100 NPCs on the streets, and like I think what basically has happened here is like there's been a generic sort of like taking things for granted. For example, in Grand Theft Auto 5, where you go into any shop or you go into certain shops and hold that shop Quickie Mart store sort of thing, and hold it up for ransom and get money, and then have a police chase behind you and all that kind of, you can do that if you want, but that's like a side thing. Even in I was discussing with you earlier, Brendan, about you've seen videos before of Saints Row that was made like back in, I don't know what, 2006 or something like that, where the AI was so competent that you could go into any shop and like hold it up. In Cyberpunk, you can't even do that. There's no option for that. You've got side quests, you've got main quests. Everything else in between is just like superfluous like setting.
Okay, and pre-patch, what did you enjoy about it? What did you like about it?
So mainly the storyline, and that's been the most disappointing thing, because as any kind of person who loves getting involved in a kind of one player storyline, it's the story, it's how you're brought in, it's the immersion of what's happening.
Yeah.
And if there's something that kind of brings you out of that immersion, you can kind of turn around and go, hey, you know what, okay, I can forgive that for that reason, or I can forgive that for that reason. But Cyberpunk was so glitchy and buggy on day release that it was unplayable. Like I literally played it through sheer force of will, shall we say.
How far did you actually get in?
Well, I think I'm one of those kind of people that likes to do side quests before I continue with main quests.
And isn't the concept behind this game is that the more kind of side quests you do, the bigger your main story becomes type scenario?
I don't think that's I think it's a kind of, I've heard, I think it's the kind of case of like you can complete certain side quests. You don't really have to complete the main quest if you don't want to. But there's other parts where it's once again this superfluous like they made out, and this is another thing as well, this is what irritates me. This is meant to be an RPG. It's not an RPG. It's not a role-playing game at all. It's a linear Borderlands type of shoot 'em up type of thing. Play the side quests, okay, cool. Play the main quests, okay, cool. There may be some different choices you make, but once again, it's like the branching tree line is not Mass Effect. It's not like this kind of like, if you make a decision at like in the early parts of the game, that's gonna take you to a really random secret ending thing here. No, it's not that kind of game.
Would that be like the biggest disappointment?
Yeah, because that's what they made it out to be to begin with. And I think if you look on CD Projekt Red's website, that they initially sort of touted in their Twitter feed that this was like an RPG. Now it's become an action adventure game. Stuff like that. It's really disappointing. I think disappointment is the word is being, cited here.
Okay. So
yeah,
pre-patch release marks out of 10.
So as I said, like obviously everyone has their own. This is the whole point. Like everyone has their own kind of experience with it. I think PC users that have like a top end PC probably wouldn't have as much. Yeah, they wouldn't, have as much.
PS4 Pro review.
PS4 Pro review. I literally stopped playing this. I don't think I'm even halfway through yet, to be honest with you. I stopped playing it because of the controversy, because everything that came out. I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for the patch. 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Right.
4 out of 10.
So
because it brought me out of the immersion so much.
I'm with you. This weekend just gone, the first major patch was released. 16 gigabytes, I think it was, or let's not go into minor megabytes, but yeah, 16 gig. You've played it since this patch. That's a 16 gig. We were talking about this again off the kind of pod. That, back in the day, that was 2 games. That was a game, 16 gigabytes. That's a big old chunk of memory there, and they've updated it. So the game must be fixed, no?
4 out of 10, Brendan.
Really?
Post patch, yeah. The only improvement I saw,
I have heard.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, so obviously whenever any patch is released, there's going to be other bugs, there's going to be other problems that are sort of like, taken from there. Apparently the major problem that people have been dealing with at the moment is that there's a quest segment that actually breaks the game. So with this patch, there's a segment where you meet a certain character called Takimura, but instead of like going through the normal cool triggering dialogue, he just stares and doesn't say anything
and kills your game.
And you can't go any further because that's a main.
So have you met this said person?
By the time the patch came out, I'd already surpassed that. I'd already gone past that sort of thing. So that doesn't
thank
me.
God.
But
save everyone.
But CD Projekt is aware of the bug and they've detailed a workaround.
Okay, forget that bug.
But
how does it look?
So, all right, the footage that I'm putting up now. For me personally, it's improved one thing and one thing only that I can only sort of go like, oh, that's good, but it should have been in from the first game. So for me personally, when I was in game and I wanted to go to the menu, there'd be like this half a second delay, like a second and a half before you get into the menu. I don't know if anyone's experienced this sort of thing, but like, it was just really irritating.
Forget that. How does
that
it
seems?
Look? Have they improved?
It's the same. No, it's the same. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. This isn't a patch to improve that kind of shit. You're not going to get a patch. Listen, I'm going to say to everyone out there now, if you're looking for like some kind of like No Man's Sky, like epoch shattering, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to happen for this year. This is probably not going to happen next year. Cyberpunk is Cyberpunk. You either deal with what you're dealing with, or you don't. There's going to be patches.
Do you think their plan is? Here's a question, right? So, because you're kind of confirming a lot of what I've read online already. It's the patch didn't fix anything really. It more broke a lot of things. But I'm sure there's some background stuff going on there that build up for the next few patches. But are they gonna, in essence, wait for the next gen? Wait for the PS5s and the Xbox X is to get out. They're all sold out worldwide at the moment. So once they kind of get the global pandemic fuckhead leaves us alone and we can get back to our lives and distribution and productivity becomes a little bit more they make more. We got there in the end. They're kind of relying on that and just hoping that the PS4 Pros and the Xboxes and here's actually what my real question is the PS4 Pro capable of what they're trying to do? Did they release a broken game?
Of course they released a broken game. That's evident from
and here's
everything
my question.
Done, yeah.
Here's kind of my question. On the high-end PC specs, is the game getting high reviews? I haven't looked.
Well, that was my
assumption that it works on a high-end PC. Then
if you have a high-end
is that
PC,
game? Is that game getting a 9 out of 10 review or a 10 out of 10 review? They are.
That was the whole kind of like when out the gate sort of thing, when the horses fled the turnstiles. That was the whole kind of thing, like the PC reviews, because that's what CD Projekt Red were only given to kind of reviewers, was like these PC reviews, and they were getting like it's one of those kind of things. If you see kind of videos, and I'm sure there'll be breakdowns of like other reviews that you can see, they were getting like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And then when you go down the picking field, shall we say, that's
And
where
what about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox X? Even though I know they're not the versions, but they're...
I don't think at the time of release there were any kind of reviews. I could be wrong, but I don't think there were any reviews at the time of like PlayStation 5 of that kind of caliber, shall we say. But
so to summarize,
CG Projekt Red have released a kind of their next year basically layout of what's happening. So we've just released this patch has just been released 1.1. In February there's going to be like a 1.2, and then throughout the year apparently there's going to be like hot fixes, and there's going to be like more patches and whatnot. The next generation, if you look at the thing, the next like PlayStation 5 doesn't get like a release until like probably like the next end of last year sort of thing.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't purchased this game, who is in and and seeing different opinions, what would be your advice? I'm assuming your advice would be to wait, give it another year, read how the patches work, or would you just say leave it the fuck alone?
No, I would say like the story is really good. It's one of those kind of games like I think with CD Projekt Red, with like The Witcher and everything like that, they created such a kind of mythology about like RPGs and stuff like that, and that's what a lot of fans were expecting. This is not what we got.
Okay.
At the current moment, to answer your question, sorry, Brendan, if you want a current sort of just generic based shooter sort of broken game, go for it. If you want a No Man's Sky, like wait until the kind of creators actually patch it and make it actually the game it was meant to be, i.e. something that's going to probably come out next year, then wait for it. But the damage has already been done.
And does Keanu Reeves dodge bullets?
In this case, he has, yeah, definitely.
Right. So in summary, wait.
In summary, even patch 1.2 that's meant to be coming out in February is not going to... Listen, anyone who's thinking that like these patches are going to fix like pop-ins and stuff like that, it's not going to happen.
All right.
It's not going to happen.
So I'm going to keep an eye on the clock on this one because we need to wrap up, right? But
okay.
Final question.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet.
Have they taken the piss by releasing this game when they did?
100% yes.
How else could we end with a bombshell like that? Guys, this has been the Inside Your Screen podcast. This is the Cyberpunk patch 1, patch 2, well, the new patch special podcast. Did you ever think we'd do an entire podcast on a patch of a game? Well, that's how we do it here at Inside Your Screen. Anthony, Tony, Mr. Self, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being on the show.
And if you want to listen to any of our stuff, see any of our videos, we're everywhere. YouTube, check out, just search Inside Your Screen. We've got all our podcasts available there. We've got game reviews, we've got movie reviews. And Tony specializes in independent horror gaming, and that we are the home of independent horror gaming reviews. So check it out there if you want some cool games. If you want to just listen to our voices, you don't want to watch a video or go on YouTube, go on to any of the major podcast sites, the Apple boys at iTunes. Remember as well to leave a review, subscribe, leave comments on all of these. But we've got Apple on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, anywhere where you can just give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a comment. Please do, because we love the engagement. We always give everybody who engages with us a shout out, and we just want people who might actually disagree with us, right? There might be someone who listened to this entire 20 minutes and went, "You're talking shit, Tony." Let Tony know. He's on Twitter. You'll find us on Twitter, where you'll find Inside Your Screen on Twitter with @Inside Your Screen with a UR. Inside UR Screen. We couldn't fit the whole word in. You know how it works. But if you go on there, you'll find @Mr. Selfie, and you'll be able to tell Mr. Selfie you don't know what you're talking about with Cyberpunk, and that's what we want to hear. We want engagement. We want people coming inside our screen the way we go inside your screen. That made no sense, but it's the best way to end the show.
I welcome your shit.
My shit.
Inside your screen.